Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to talk a little bit about how I'm going to stay warm this winter when I go out camping and all my adventures, so let's get to it. This is iKamper Sky Camp Mini 2.0. Inside of here. Alright guys, so the methodology for this is going to be a sleeping bag, a really cheap 12 volt electric blanket, and then a power source. And here we have the Bluetti. This is the EB70. Okay, let's look at the statistics here on the back. So EB70 battery capacity is 716 watt hours with a maximum of 700 watts. Okay, so 716 watt hours. We're going to use that metric later to determine how long it'll power this electric blanket for on a full charge. Also wanted you to take note of the size of this. So here's my pillow, just a normal twin size pillow. This is a 10 degree, has a fill power of 950. And what that means essentially is, so say you have a fill power of 850 and then you have a fill power of 950. So what that's gonna mean is it's 950 cubic inches per ounce. So 850 means you're going to get 850 cubic inches per 1 ounce, and then 950 means you're going to get a little bit more cubic inches for the same ounce, so for the same amount of weight. And you know how sleeping bags work is basically that fill power, that space, it creates these microscopic air pockets, and that's what provides the insulation, which keeps you warm. So the more fill power you have, the warmer you're going to be, and the more fill power per ounce means you can be warmer with less weight, less size, all of that, okay? Compare that to my Rumple blanket here, which is just synthetic down. So this packs up a lot smaller. You get a lot less warmth for the size. It actually, this little blanket, which will keep you warm in like 50 degree, 60 degree weather, packs down to the same size as this. So keep that in mind, very, very small. And this doesn't even have, this bag doesn't even have the little cinches, you know, so this could really get down even smaller if you're really pushing on it. But this is just the bag that it kind of comes with. This sleeping bag is, well, it's not a sleeping bag, it's technically a quilt, and it comes from Enlightened Equipment. The idea behind a quilt is that you're going to save, basically you can unzip it, it'll unzip into like a blanket, which is what I like. So maybe in warmer weather I can repurpose it as a blanket. If you have two people in the tent, you can kind of put it over both of you if it's not super cold and you don't need to each have your little individual sleeping bag to stay warm. And then it's also super lightweight and small. So the purpose behind using a quilt versus a sleeping bag is the quilt doesn't have the back end, and that back end is supposed to take the place of like a sleeping mat. So if you're out there, you're camping or you're backpacking and you need to pack something, you're taking less weight because now you don't have that back piece on the sleeping bag, which is going to be compressed anyways. And as we discussed before, when it's compressed, it's not actually giving you any insulation, and that's what the sleeping mat is supposed to do, because even though you're laying on it, you have a nice good inch air pocket, and that's going to help insulate you from underneath. So that's why I went with the quilt, just because mainly for me, I like that it'll zip out into a blanket and it's super small, packs down super light. If you guys are just, you know, tent camping out here in your truck, like, it's not going to matter what kind of sleeping bag you got, because you got so much space in here. So if you're on a tight, but these things are expensive. I'll link it down in the description, but they're expensive. You'd be better off going for just a nice little, go, you know, to Shields, Amazon, and you can buy a 20 degree sleeping bag for like 80-90 bucks, and that's going to keep you really warm, especially when we get into the electric blanket. 12 volt electric blanket, okay, super cheap, buy it off Amazon, at Walmart, whatever. And essentially you plug this in to here, and then you're gonna stick this inside of your sleeping bag with you, okay? And that's just gonna keep you, like, you're gonna be so warm that you're probably not gonna want it on all night. You're probably not gonna want it on at all unless it's really cold, especially if you have a really good sleeping bag. And just to kind of explain how well this works, this is kind of my summer sleeping bag. This is a 50 degree bag, Rambler 50 degree. I used this in conjunction with this last winter, and it's in one of my videos, I'll link it up above. And I stayed warm the whole night. I got down to about 50 degrees. So this was running all night, and then I had this as my kind of outer layer, if that makes sense. So let's see if we turn this on here. Okay. See, it's going to show me my input and my output. We're at 100%. I'm going to plug it in, and we'll see how much it's going to take out, how many watts. There we go. Okay, I had the wrong button on. 41 watts is this, 48 is the surge. It should go down a little bit. 47. Okay. So we're at 47 watts. Okay. So if we do the math here, if you have 716 watt hours, so watt hours, and you do the little math with the units and all that, you'll be able to figure out, basically you do 716 divided by 47, and then that's going to give you how many hours it'll last before it dies. So, you know, that's going to be about 14 hours-ish, give or take. So we'll go 12 to 14 hours straight. You'll be able to power this electric blanket the whole time. But like I said, if you're using a sleeping bag like this, you're not going to need it on all night. It's just going to be maybe when you first get in, maybe once in the middle of the night you wake up and your toes are a little cold, and then probably in the morning when you're about to get ready to get out of the warm sleeping bag and into your kind of cold space around you, that's when you're going to want, you know, maybe turn it back on just so you have some extra heat while you're getting ready for the day. So you could probably honestly get 2 days worth out of it without charging. And then that leads into the next thing. Well, how are you going to charge it once it's done? So if you're staying in the same place for a few days, then you're going to need solar panels, or you could use a generator, or you could just run it off your truck. So I usually never stay in the same place more than 1 day. So what I do is when I'm done, I packed up in the morning, I put my Bluetti EB70 and I throw it inside the truck and I plug it into one of the cigarette lighters, and then it's charging while I'm driving and traveling the whole day. And then by the time I get to my campsite at the end of the day, it's almost fully charged, usually around 80%. So, and yeah, actually, if you don't know how batteries work, like the time it takes to get from 0 to 80% is the same amount of time it gets to go from like 80% to 100%. So you're going to get to that 80% a lot quicker, and then you're going to get to the 80 to 100% a lot slower. So that's probably why, you know, the whole day it's like trying to push in between 80 and 90 and whatnot. So 80% is fine though. I mean, you're still going to get a good, you know, 10 hours at least out of it that night. So if you guys have any questions, if you guys have any suggestions, feel free to leave a comment. I did make a video about this 2 years ago. It's very similar, but a little different. So this is kind of my updated video, my updated technique. People use diesel heaters and all that stuff, and I'm just, the diesel heater just feels like it's a little too much. Honestly, if I'm just, it's like, why not just use the truck heater? Why not just sleep inside the truck? I don't have tons of disposable income, and I really just want to be comfortable and warm while I'm out here making content during the winter months. Because I mean, up here in the mountains, it gets really cold, it gets dark really early, and I just want to be kind of comfortable. I don't want to be roughing it the whole time. So this is kind of like my compromise without it being just too much. So yeah, that's all I got, guys. Hope you enjoyed the video. Leave a like if you liked it, or leave a comment if you got any ideas, or tell me what you think.